Welcome to this deep dive, tailored specifically for you, the learner. Today we're navigating a really powerful current in our lives, something we all experience but maybe rarely fully understand. Guilt. Think about those moments you've shared, those feelings of responsibility, maybe something left undone. We're going to unpack why guilt can feel like such a heavy weight.
Yeah, like a real burden.
Exactly. And more importantly, explore how we can maybe shift our relationship with it, for a more open perspective.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how an internal state, just a feeling inside us, can create such a strong sense of, well, external constraint, almost like being physically held back.
That image really resonates.
It immediately brings to mind that picture, someone struggling under a heavy burden, maybe a stone in a vast landscape.
Like a desert.
Yeah, a desert perhaps, and
Right.
maybe there's relief in sight, an oasis, but it seems completely unattainable because of what they're carrying.
Okay, let's dig into that image. This idea that the burden, the guilt, it becomes the main thing we see. It's like Gestalt psychology talks about this, right? Figure and ground.
Precisely. What jumps out at you, the figure versus what recedes into the background, the ground?
And guilt becomes the figure,
Yeah.
dominating everything.
Yes, it takes up all our mental space, making it hard to even perceive other possibilities, like that oasis you mentioned.
Or just release.
Our minds naturally organize experience, highlighting what feels most urgent or important. And when guilt takes that central role, it can really skew our sense of reality.
And the weird thing is, it feels like the more we fight it,
The more it controls our awareness.
Exactly.
It becomes this kind of feedback loop.
it really makes you wonder why we hold on to these feelings so tightly, feelings that clearly weigh us down. It's almost,
Sisyphus.
yeah, like Sisyphus, endlessly pushing that boulder uphill. But then there's that thought. Maybe this struggle, this persistent guilt, actually reflects something deeper about us, our values, maybe.
That's a really crucial point. It shifts the question from how do we get rid of this bad feeling to, well, what is this feeling telling us?
Is there something to learn in the cycle?
Could it carry information? A reflection of who we are, what we care about. Think about a really common experience. Procrastination.
Oh, definitely. Avoiding a big task.
By doing smaller things. Cleaning the apartment, maybe?
Yes. Guilty is charged. That makes perfect sense, though. Cleaning gives you that quick hit, right? A sense of completion. A finished gestalt, you could say.
Exactly that, a completed gestalt. That looming project, meanwhile, feels huge, uncertain.
So the guilt about not doing the project becomes the loudest voice,
It becomes the figure.
pushing the actual work, the important stuff,
Yeah.
further into the background. It feels like our need for closure gets kind of hijacked.
That's a great way to put it, hijacked. We choose the illusion of progress, the tidy apartment, over the genuine growth that confronting the bitter challenge offers.
The immediate satisfaction wins out.
It does. It overshadows the long-term benefits. It really highlights how that drive for completion can be manipulated almost by feelings like guilt to steer our behavior away from what matters most.
And it paints this picture of our minds as, well, a landscape filled with all sorts of things. Unfinished tasks, arguments, regrets.
A whole internal landscape.
And when guilt becomes the dominant feature there, it distorts everything else. It's just hard to see the good stuff, the possibilities.
Precisely. It's like a harsh spotlight on one dark corner, leaving the rest of the room totally unseen. Remember that anecdote? The woman feeling responsible for her brother's addiction.
Yeah, that was powerful, even though she wasn't directly involved or couldn't control it.
It shows how a belief, even one that doesn't quite match objective reality, can become this powerful filter. It shapes how we see everything.
Absolutely. Her guilt wasn't really about her actions, was it? It was about this internal story she built. And it just colored everything similar, reinforcing this feeling of inadequacy, I guess.
The brother's actual struggles, the complexity of his situation became less prominent in her perception than her own self-blame.
Which connects to that idea you mentioned.
Oh.
Unfinished business.
Yes, exactly. Those unresolved situations, memories, feelings that keep sort of nudging us, demanding attention.
Like a background hum that won't go away.
Right. The brother's addiction, being ongoing and unresolved, likely represented a huge piece of unfinished business for her.
Okay.
And her guilt, in a strange way, acted as both a constant reminder of this incompleteness
But also a barrier.
and also a barrier to actually finding any peace or healing. It's a paradox.
It's like constantly poking a bruise, isn't it?
Mhm.
You keep the focus right there, but it doesn't help it heal. It just stays sensitive.
That's a great analogy.
It makes me think about those Well, those invisible burdens we all carry. Arguments we haven't resolved, apologies never made.
Dreams we've let slide.
Yeah. Those stones we drag around without even realizing it sometimes.
These unspoken, unresolved parts of our lives really do shape so much. They influence what we notice, what we avoid.
How we interpret things.
They're definitely how we interpret events around us. We might feel like we're moving forward, but these underlying weights can subtly, or not so subtly, direct our path.
Seeing guilt in a larger context seems helpful then. Like looking at a painting.
Mm-hmm.
You see the main thing first, the tree or whatever, but then you notice the background, the swirling clouds, the mountains.
And that background gives the figure its meaning, its significance.
Right. And guilt is similar. It exists within this bigger picture of our past, our anxieties, maybe even our culture.
Absolutely. Our past experiences, cultural conditioning, even those deep existential anxieties, they all form the ground against which the figure of guilt emerges.
So what's interesting then is realizing guilt itself isn't necessarily bad.
Not inherently. Like pain is a signal something's wrong physically. Guilt can be a signal something's amiss internally, a conflict in values, maybe a disconnect in relationships.
Okay, so it's an alert system.
It can be. The problem arises when we fixate on the alert itself, on the feeling of guilt.
And miss the message.
Exactly. We lose sight of understanding what it's pointing to and how we might actually, respond constructively, move forward.
So the real question then is,
Yeah.
what's the cost of carrying guilt? Is it just feeling bad? Or does it fundamentally change how we see ourselves and the world?
I think it does both. It's an internal burden, sure, but it also acts like a lens. It colors how we interpret everything.
Right.
Which leads to this idea of our minds as constantly organizing experiences, trying to make sense, find patterns.
Always looking for meaning.
When guilt enters that mental space, it doesn't just sit there alone. It interacts with everything else, memories, beliefs, hopes.
These creates ripples.
A whole ripple effect. Think about the woman and her brother again. Her guilt wasn't just a fleeting feeling.
No, it seemed deeply embedded.
It became woven into the fabric of her experience, a structural feature of her awareness almost, not just an emotion passing through.
Okay, structural feature. That's interesting. It really highlights how guilt can hijack our attention, right?
Completely. It forces itself into the foreground, demands to be noticed, and here's the kicker, trying to suppress it, to push it away. That resistance actually makes it stronger. It digs it in deeper because of the tension you create.
Ugh, it's like trying not to think of a pink elephant.
Exactly that. The mental effort itself reinforces it, which links back to that physical image, the man dragging the stone.
How so?
Well, there's a concept called isomorphism, the idea that the structure of one thing mirrors the structure of another. Here, the mental resistance to guilt, that internal struggle,
Creates a psychological weight?
yes, that mirrors the physical burden of the stone. The effort feels heavy.
Wow, okay. And this weight, this guilt, it often connects to our need for closure, resolution.
Absolutely. We have this innate drive to complete things, to resolve unfinished situations.
Yeah.
Psychologically, we crave wholeness.
And guilt signals a break.
It signals a rupture, a break in our relationships, or maybe a violation of our own values. Guilt then taps into that fundamental drive for closure, for setting things right.
Perfectionism seems like a really clear example here.
Oh, definitely.
The guilt of not being perfect, of falling short.
Fuels this relentless striving for an ideal self that's, frankly, unreachable.
And it just makes you feel more fragmented, doesn't it? Not less.
Precisely. The pursuit itself deepens the sense of incompleteness it's trying to fix.
What's also striking is how guilt messes with time.
How do you mean?
Well, it pulls us out of the present, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're either stuck replaying past regrets.
Or consumed by anxiety about future consequences. Yeah.
Yeah, and being anchored in the past or future like that, it stops us from being here now, where insight might actually happen.
That's a key point. This temporal dislocation prevents presence, prevents clarity. It clouds our judgment.
Makes it hard to see clearly, like we're just trapped in this loop.
Think about wanting to apologize for something, but delaying it, maybe out of shame or fear.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
The guilt just sits there, lingering, but the action needed for resolution, for contact, is blocked. It disrupts that natural cycle. Sensation, awareness, mobilizing energy, action, contact, completion.
So guilt freezes you.
It can freeze us right at the awareness stage. Aware of the problem, aware of the feeling, but unable to move towards action and resolution.
But even though it feels so isolating, you're saying guilt actually points to how interconnected things are.
Yes. Like that painting analogy, the figure needs the ground, guilt about one specific thing.
Isn't usually just about that one thing.
Rarely. It's often tied to our deeper values, our core beliefs, the quality of our relationships. It can be a signal pointing towards something really significant about who we are and what matters to us.
Which might explain why guilt can sometimes cluster. Like feeling bad about one thing suddenly makes you feel bad about 10 other things.
Exactly. One source triggers a whole network of associated regrets, perceived failures, shortcomings.
It sounds like the mind just trying to organize things again, connect the dots.
It is the mind organizing information, looking for meaningful patterns. But there's a shadow side to that organization.
What's that?
When guilt becomes the dominant organizing principle, it narrows our focus drastically. It blinds us to alternative perspectives, different ways of seeing the situation or ourselves.
So breaking free isn't just about thinking different thoughts.
It's often about shifting the entire structure of awareness, how we perceive, not just what we think.
Okay. And that shift, it comes through acceptance, not fighting.
It seems that way. Acknowledging guilt as part of our experience without letting it define our whole self.
Seeing its role, maybe.
Recognizing the role it might be playing, yes. And using that awareness maybe as a catalyst for growth. It really poses the question, doesn't it? What if we could actually dialogue with our guilt?
Instead of just battling it.
Try to understand its message, yeah, rather than constantly resisting.
Which brings us back to the person in the desert, finding freedom through acceptance.
What if they just stopped, put the stone down for a moment?
I just acknowledged it. Its weight, its presence, without judgment.
That simple act could shift the whole dynamic. The stone might move from being the overwhelming figure
To just part of the background, part of the whole landscape.
Exactly. Because all that energy we spend resisting guilt, that actually feeds its power.
Right, the tension keeps it strong.
But turning towards it with curiosity, trying to understand what it's trying to tell us, that can disrupt the cycle. Awareness itself can transform the figure-ground relationship.
So it really is about changing our relationship with guilt, not necessarily eliminating it.
I think so. Maybe happiness isn't the absence of discomfort, but our capacity to hold it lightly, with perspective.
Okay, so guilt becomes a signal, a marker for growth, a reminder of our values.
It could be seen that way, as valuable information. And just as resisting creates that internal weight, that isomorphism we talked about.
Acceptance creates an
Right.
inner expansion, perhaps.
Huh.
When we acknowledge the truth of our experience, even the uncomfortable parts, without piling on self-criticism or denial, that openness can lead to insight.
And it changes how we see ourselves, too. Our identity isn't fixed, right? Not at all. It's dynamic, shaped by our choices, how we integrate all our experiences, including tough emotions.
So accepting guilt, integrating it, it makes us more whole.
It can shift us from feeling like a victim of our past mistakes to
Mhm.
someone who learns, adapts, evolves, a creator of our ongoing self, maybe.
It's like that mirror analogy you used. Seeing a reflection you don't like. Instead of turning away, you choose to look with openness, curiosity.
And that act of looking, that acceptance, transforms your relationship with the image itself.
So when we stop running from guilt, it can teach us.
It might reveal things, our vulnerabilities, yes, but maybe also our courage, our resilience,
It shows us where we feel we've strayed.
where we've strayed from our values, perhaps,
Yeah.
and offers a chance to realign, to choose differently going forward, opportunities for growth.
But this integration,
Yeah.
it's not like a switch flips, right? It's a process.
Oh, definitely not linear. There will be moments of clarity, for sure, but then maybe steps back. That just reflects the dynamic, fluid nature of experience, the ebb and flow.
It reminds me a bit of some philosophical ideas too. Existentialism, maybe?
How so?
This idea of confronting the consequences of our choices, owning them, including the difficult feelings like guilt, as a path to living more authentically.
Absolutely. Accepting responsibility, not in a self-blaming way, but as acknowledging our role. It can be a gateway to reclaiming our agency, our power to act meaningfully.
But it sounds like it requires vigilance.
A kind of mindful awareness, yes. Acceptance isn't resignation or complacency. It's a delicate balance, a constant recalibration. Finding that middle path between fighting it and being completely swamped by it.
And it's worth remembering too that guilt isn't just personal, is it? It connects outwards.
That's a really important dimension. Our personal guilt often hooks into larger cultural narratives, historical legacies, shared human experiences of wrongdoing or regret.
So maybe healing our own relationship with guilt contributes somehow to a larger process.
It's possible. Understanding and integrating our own stuff might ripple outwards, which then, of course, opens up those even bigger questions.
about societal guilt, systemic issues, historical burdens.
Exactly. The weight of the past on groups, on nations. How does collective closure happen? Can it? These are huge open questions.
Definitely things to ponder. So, as you, the learner, continue to reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider the story you're telling yourself about guilt right now.
Is it one of being crushed by that stone?
Or could it evolve? Become a narrative of learning, of finding your footing, even with the weight. Perhaps the key insight here is really about shifting perspective
Moving guilt from the overwhelming figure.
to just a part of the broader ground of your experience. So you can begin to walk with those stones, maybe, instead of being dragged by them.
It's not about erasing the past or pretending feelings aren't there.
No, it's about integrating them into
Yeah.
a richer, more complete understanding of yourself. So the final thought to leave you with: what new perspectives, what oasis might become visible in your life when the weight of guilt begins to lessen its grip on your attention?
That's definitely something worth exploring.